Hey you, come here. The video is going to start. I need you to go down. I need you to go down, Kurama. The video is going to start. Yeah. Don't knock the CDs on the floor, okay? Come on. Gonna start the video. Let's go. Let's go, Mr. Cat. Thank you. Greetings, fans of Canadian metal. I'm Peter Scove, and this is Music is a Journey episode 40. I've got a lot of music to introduce to you today, so let's cue the music. So I've been promising episode 40 for quite some time now. I think the last couple of videos I did, I said episode 40 is coming, it's coming. And while it might seem that it's a little bit late, in one perspective, it's actually very late, like about 10 years late for me to be making this video. On the other hand, it's also slightly early because I've got a package on the way here that has contents that are relevant to this video, and it hasn't arrived yet. So hopefully I'll see it in the next few days while I'm editing the video, so that by the time I upload it, I'll be able to open that package. Okay, what I am doing today is I'm going to introduce to you a record label called Diminished Fifth Records. They operated out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia from the years 2006 to 2015. This was a label devoted to promoting East Coast Canadian metal. Diminished Fifth Records was founded by Josh Hogan, who is the vocalist of Orchid's Curse, a metal band out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Orchid's Curse were gearing up to release their first album, and there weren't any metal labels around locally, so Josh decided to start up his own label, Diminished Fifth Records. They released their debut album, Goodbye Is When the Casket Closes, in 2006. And as well, they also released a compilation album called The Music of Artisanship and War. This was the first in a series of 3 compilation albums, which would include bands that would later on release albums through Diminished Fifth Records, as well as a lot of other East Coast bands who all contributed songs to the compilation. I have volumes 2 and 3 right here, courtesy of Josh Hogan, who stuffed these in my latest package that I ordered from the label. Lot of terrific stuff on here, a lot of great bands I found out about on the label, as well as other bands that I already heard about, like Holocaust. And there were some other bands I found out about, like Broken Ohms, which I thought were really cool, and a few others as well. If you can get a hold of these somewhere, it's a real treat. There's a good variety of heavy music on here. It's not all extreme, pretty cool stuff. 2007 saw the release of albums by 4 bands signed up with Diminished Fifth Records. There were 3 out of Moncton, New Brunswick. The technical thrash band Discord, their album Siege of Darkness. There was 9 Mile Woods by Galactus, and then also a heavy stoner metal band called Iron Fist and their album Creator of Scars. The 4th band was actually out of Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, a band called Uig, if I've got that correct, and their first album, To Punish and Enslave. In 2007 also saw volume 2 of The Music of Artisanship and War. By the time 2009-2010 rolled around, Diminished Fifth was really releasing a lot of work by different bands. We had Blackmore and their album Lethal Waters came out. We the Undersigned, Thy Flesh Consumed, Rusted Dawn, Last Call Chernobyl, and The Daisy Antithesis. These were all bands releasing albums on Diminished Fifth during those couple of years there. Orchid's Curse released another album called Words, as well as Volume 3 in the compilation series. From 2011 to 2013, there were a few more bands signed, such as Death Valley Driver, which is one of the bands I first found out about, Pith, and a lot of the bands that I already mentioned released sophomore albums on the label during these years as well. However, from 2014, things started to slow down a bit. The only release I could find coming off the label in 2014 was Death Valley Driver's EP, an EP that they released. And then from 2015, we see Diminished Fifth's last Facebook entry saying that last chance to order your merchandise. Orders are shipping out by July 31st. That's the end. So what exactly happened in 2015? Well, actually, I sent Josh a list of questions by email, and he was very kind to take time to answer all the questions. I actually posted all questions and answers together as a kind of like a online interview format style on the Music is a Journey WordPress site. So you can go there and you can read it over if you want to find out what Josh had to say. But basically, as Josh explained, back in 2005, software for home recording was getting a lot better, and a lot of bands decided they would make a go of it, making a lot of their own recordings for themselves, and then they were looking for labels to distribute their work and to represent them. And so at that time, there are a lot of bands jumped on, and it's not just the East Coast, because last year when I was checking out my my quest for Canadian metal bands, I found a lot of bands formed there around 2005, 2006. However, what happened in the case of a lot of these bands, 10 years passed by, people got married, people had careers, people had families, and it just became very difficult to maintain a band, to keep a band going. And I think it's just because for a lot of them, being in a band was more like a very serious hobby where they could, have some fun on the side, perhaps earn an extra bit of cash and pursue that dream. But in the end, real life took over and they had to give it up. Now, it doesn't mean that all the bands on Diminished Fifth disappeared. Orchid's Curse is still around. Anthesis is still around. And there are a few other bands there that are also still around right now. Of course, because of COVID-19, their activity has slowed down a little bit. However, according to Josh, there are still bands out there that are doing something. So that's pretty cool. Good to know the East Coast metal scene is still alive. So I came across Diminished Fifth Records last year when I was doing my quest for Canadian metal, and it happened that I was doing research for bands in the East Coast area, the Atlantic provinces, and I found out about bands like Blackmore and as well Death Valley Driver. And so of course, when I ordered their albums, I ordered through Bandcamp, I was ordering through Diminished Fifth, and it is through those orders there and a bit of an email exchange with Diminished Fifth Records, I got in touch with Josh. Now, the really cool thing is, if you want to check out Diminished Fifth Records on Bandcamp, you will find that they're selling their CDs for $5. That's right, $5 for a CD, $3 for a full album download. So I went ahead and ordered a few more albums, which of course resulted in this Music of Artisanship and Warfare being added in. As well, Josh slipped in an extra CD or two here and there, and as I said at the beginning of the video, I have another order on the way. Hopefully it's going to show up here before I actually get this video up and running on YouTube. I might wait a few days just to see if that happens. But yeah, so now I want to introduce you to the music of some of all these bands here that I've been checking out. So why don't we now go ahead and give a listen to these different bands. Let me introduce them to you one by one. So let's start things off with Blackmore, who are from Moncton, New Brunswick. They are a classic metal band with some strong Iron Maiden influences. I've got two albums here, Lethal Waters and The Conquering. They did have a third album out, which was supposed to have been released on Diminished Fifth, but because the label folded, they later on released it elsewhere as a digital download only. We're going to listen to a song called Frozen Tombs, right? Yeah, Frozen Tombs from Lethal Waters. This song actually has a really cool 1.5 minute guitar solo, and I think it's two guitarists trading licks. But anyway, we're not going to do that part there. I'm going to play another part of the song, and then we're going to listen to a bit from Breath of the Dying from the Conquering album. So let's give those two songs a spin. Let's check it out. Next up, we have Death Valley Driver. I was really glad to find out about this band because it is one of the few bands I could find from Prince Edward Island. Now I know of another one, Uig, who I've mentioned, which are also really cool. These guys here, they have a really big, heavy groove metal sound, but with some really rough vocals that kind of, well, I guess there's a kind of wrestler influence here, because take a look at that masked face there and masked face here, and well, all right, nobody's got a masked face here. This is the EP that I told you about. That was one of the final releases on the Diminished Fifth label. I failed to mention they did actually release a 10-year anniversary compilation album, which was, I think, download only. Anyway, Death Valley Driver, yeah, big, heavy groove metal sound, tough riffs, wrestling vocal style. You gotta hear these guys. I'm going to play something from the Choke the River album, and then another one here from the Graveyard Dead album. And you can also find at least one video by them on YouTube, plus there might be a couple other ones as well. So yeah, let's listen to some big, heavy groove metal now with Death Valley Driver from Charlotte and Prince Edward Island. Next up, one of the first bands to release an album on the Diminished Fifth Records label. This is Discord Siege of Darkness. Now, as I said, they are a technical thrash band. They do have a very distinctive vocal style, which you'll hear in a moment. They have this album here as well. They had another album called Casualties of War. No, sorry, that's Casualties of War. Bad joke. All right, which is on order. It's on the way. I've only listened to it a little bit from my Bandcamp library. But anyway, yeah, they have got some pretty ripping technical thrash metal going on, sometimes more or less straightforward thrash metal. We're going to hear a bit from a track called Treblinka, which is more or less what the band sounds like. And then we're going to hear a piece from a section from the title track, which has a really awesome riff that I love. So let's check out Discord, band from Moncton, New Brunswick. Here we go. So here's a band who caught my attention partly because of the cover. I mean, take a look at that cover art. Isn't it lovely? This is Last Call Chernobyl. I think you would call them a technical melodic death metal band maybe at times. They remind me a little bit of Nile. There are two vocalists, both of them very gruff vocals, but distinct from one another. But as much as the music is heavy and sometimes technical, there's also a lot of melody in the music as well, which is really interesting. So here, from this album called Drowning Beneath the Sound of Change, let's hear a bit from the tracks Fear of Falling and Burning Dreams, Last Call Chernobyl.
Everything we know was lost. Lost sea of dust. Lost sea of dust. Washed it away. Walking blind, pretending deaf to the sound of our own full dreams. Know how this is. Take my hand, please. This is me up. Will I fall down? Or can I make it?
Okay, now this is a CD that really impressed me. This is the Daisy Antithesis. This is Surface and the Sky. They are one of those bands who can really twist and manipulate heavy music, abruptly changing pace and atmosphere. They are brutally heavy, but the production on this album is really perfect for bringing out the sounds of the music. I've read a few reviews of this that have also really complimented the production quality. This is a soundtrack for watching Jurassic Park raptors shred bodies. It's packed with bone-pulverizing riffs, technical wizardry. The standout track for me is The Profound. They just keep putting in this awesome riff, and then later on another awesome riff, and then another awesome riff. I really love that. But we're also going to hear something from Pretty and Pitied from this album as well. This is a band I will be looking forward to hearing more from for sure. Definitely left an impression on me here. The Daisy Antithesis, Surface in the Sky. Let's hear it. So next up we have Rusted Dawn. Now if you look at the album cover, you might think this is maybe a kind of stoner metal or stoner rock sound, but actually these guys are more like a classic 80s thrash metal band with that kind of crossover, hardcore sound and really speedy thrash where they occasionally will drop in these like 1-2 punch slower riffs. This is a pretty intense album. This is called The Black Tides of War. And I'm just going to play, I don't remember what it was I was going to play, but let's hear just a little bit of this album here, Rusted Dawn. Check out what these guys sound like. If you like your classic, intense thrash metal, It's alive and well on this album, which is actually quite some years old now. But anyway, here we go. Rusted Dawn. Here is one of the late comers to the Diminished Fifth Records label. This is Wizards of Chaos out of St. John's, Newfoundland, actually. Yeah, I think it's the only band that is not from the other provinces, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island, that's on the label. Wizards of Chaos are a stoner rock, stoner metal band with some big grooves, a really rough, raw sound, and I mean, just check out that album cover. What music will you expect from an album like this? Well, it's probably exactly like what I'm about to play for you now. This is really cool stoner rock, stoner metal with a groove that totally mows down the town. This is Wizards of Chaos. Yeah. Nothing. Still nothing. You know what? The beginning part of this video here, where I was wearing the gray shirt, I recorded that about 3-4 weeks ago. And during that video I said, I'm going to wait to see if the package from Nova Scotia shows up. And then I'll include it in at the end. I said, maybe, you know, while I'm editing the video during that week there, it might show up, and then I'll just make a video of me opening it at the very end. Yeah, that's 3 or 4 weeks ago now. Definitely 3 weeks, possibly 4. Still nothing has come in the mail yet. So, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what I've got on order, which is hopefully going to arrive. Probably just the day after I put this on YouTube, it'll arrive. Anyway, Orchid's Curse. Vocalist Josh Hogan, the whole reason why we're talking about Diminished Fifth Records in the first place. And I didn't have any albums by his band. So I went ahead and ordered Words, album cover here, because I thought the album cover was really cool. And they actually have 3 albums on the label. So I ordered this one here, and it is really cool. I especially like their music. They have quite a bunch of different styles that they can blend in really nicely. And what we're going to do is I'm going to play 2 samples from the album, And with all apologies to Josh, I'm going to play just the instrumental section from one of the songs. And in fact, it's not even the whole instrumental section, it's just part of it, just to give you a taste of what these guys can do musically. It's really cool stuff. And then after that, I'm going to play a sample from another song where I've got Josh's vocals in. Now, I don't have the CD, but I do have the download from Bandcamp, so we're going to just take something from that. I'm sorry, I don't remember the song titles off the top of my head, and I can't stare at the CD like this either. So here we go. Let's listen to Orchid's Curse now. Okay, another band I ordered is Iron Giant, one of the first bands to release an album on the Diminished Fifth label. Iron Giant from New Brunswick, Moncton, New Brunswick. A pretty awesome, heavy, groovy, stoner metal type band with some really good, powerful, little bit soulful, but also raspy vocals. I really like the style. We're going to check out the title track of the album, Creator of Scars, and also a little bit from another song on the album. They have basically just a lot of really cool stuff though, so if you like what you hear, do check out Iron Giant. Now I realized earlier on, it just occurred to me as I was sitting down to make this video, I might have actually called them Iron Fist earlier on in the video. I'll have to check that. If I did, my sincere apologies. I was probably thinking of the band Fist and their album cover with this gauntlet punching through the ground. But anyway, Iron Giant. Here we go. Let's check it out. Okay, now we already listened to a band called Discord, and we're going to just check out a little bit more because this was their second release on the Diminished Fifth label. Casualties of War. And in the very first album, on the very first album, we just had the one vocalist, that kind of unique vocal style, that like a kind of thing. On this album here, they actually have, I'm pretty sure it's 3 different people doing the vocals, including the one from the previous album, but 2 other ones as well. And that and just the overall sound of the album, I feel there has been another dimension open up in the music, and there's also some instrumental stuff on here. There was on the other album too, but even some acoustic stuff and so on. I think this album is really a progression from the last one. So let's listen to just one track, a little bit from Casualties of War by Discord. Okay, and the final band I'm pretty sure I ordered is We the Undersigned. This is more of I don't know. It's a little bit more punky, hardcore-ish. But yeah, this was kind of one of the last ones I checked out, and I have only listened to the album once, so I'm just going to play a short clip from one of the songs. You can get an idea what We the Undersigned sound like. I just remember one song they were singing about Tonight I Will Dine on Turtle Soup or something like that. But that's not the one we're going to play. I'm going to pick another one. So here we go, We the Undersigned.
With this blade I will block face eyes. Block face eyes. Look at your eyes. And you'll see for yourself. Going over and round and following through. The world will become live out of
And there you have it. I have played for you samples of most of the bands who released albums on the Diminished Fifth label. There's still a couple of others like Thy Flesh Consumed and Pith and Failure Epics. The guy behind Failure Epics is based in Toronto, but he's actually from the Maritimes, so they allowed him to be on there. And his album was also really interesting because it's a progressive album with some parts metal, but also one track that is just a piano instrumental, fairly slow-paced one as well. And then some parts that sound more like progressive rock rather than progressive metal, but it's a pretty cool album too. So once again, I do recommend that you go on over to Bandcamp, find Diminished Fifth Records, and just check out some of the music they've got there. And I'm pretty sure you're going to find the albums, the CDs are $5, and the downloads are $3 for most of the stuff anyway. So do check it out. I'd like to thank Josh Hogan for giving me permission to feature the music of all the bands that were on the Diminished Fifth label, which I have done so today. And I'd also like to thank him for answering my questions and just being a generally really awesome guy during this time here that I've been purchasing albums from him and communicating with him. Again, I'm wishing good luck to all those bands out there, the ones that broke up. You did some great stuff, dude, so if you have a chance to play together again, it would be awesome. And a lot of the bands that are still going, also the ones that were not on Diminished Fifth, some of the ones I checked out were Broken Ohms, Uig, a few others as well. They were all really cool, so there's this one here too. Yeah, I just recommend you go and check out some of all these bands from the Maritimes, from Canada, because there's a lot of really cool stuff out there which is not known to so many people. So hopefully a few more people will know now that you've watched this video. Okay, enough. I hear sirens. It's an ambulance, it's not the police. I'm okay. Just kidding. Okay, everybody, so whenever the next video is ready, it will be out. Thank you for watching this one. Thank you for your patience and waiting for this one. And enjoy some cool music. Catch you next time. Bye.